Welcome to the Zoom Class 2 online classes. Today we will discuss attack vectors as part of Module 1 of the course Cybersecurity. Friends, today we discuss on three main attacks as part of the attack vectors. One, SQL injection attack, denial of service attack, and phishing attack. All these three attacks are known as attack vectors. Basically, an attack vector is a method or means by which a cyber attacker introduces, injects malicious code to do some unwanted activity, illegal activity. For example, if you take SQL injection, attacker might inject a malicious code which can disclose the entire content of the database, which in turn may help the attacker to do some cyber crime. Another type of attack vector is denial of service attack. In case of denial of service attack, then if you take for example TCP denial of service, TCP client simply establishes several connections with the TCP server and none of the TCP clients actually involved in sending the data. In such cases, TCP server allows establishment of the connection, but if a real TCP client comes with the interest of making the data transmission, it will not be provided a service of establishing the connection and further service support to make the data transmission. This is denial of service attack in case of TCP. Another important attack vector with respect to our syllabus is phishing attack, where the malicious user will send a pretended email and he will attract the person to give their personal important data. He collects the important personal data like credit card number or any other personal information and he redirects it to some other website. These are the three attack vectors. We will go in depth with respect to these three attack vectors in the next class in detail. Now, all these three attack vectors, we have to note that violate the principles of security. The three principles of security are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. As we know, confidentiality is ensuring no third party makes an understanding of what data is being sent actually. For that purpose, to achieve the confidentiality, encryption and decryption techniques are used. The second principle of security is integrity, where data has not to be modified while data is being transmitted or stored. That is integrity. If you impose restrictions of security, then availability may decrease. So there should be a trade-off between the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the data. On the cyberspace, it is not enough if we have these three important cybersecurity principles. The fourth important cybersecurity principle that we need to consider is non-repudiation, where non-repudiation is sending something and saying not send anything, received something, received some bank deposit, and I will say I not received. Making such claims is non-repudiation. Digital security, with the help of digital certificate, try to ensure that authentication, confidentiality, and non-repudiation is implemented. Friends, we have to note that along with these three attacks, it is important to understand at the first stage why cyber attack vectors are to be given much concentration, what are the cost of it, and what are the different other attack vectors that we need to consider along with the SQL injection, denial of service, and phishing. So we go to the background of it. In 2015, more than 178 million Americans had their records exposed in cyber attacks. Damage from hacks cost business $400 billion per year. Cyber attack costs the average American firm $15.4 million. This is a story of one country. It's not if you will be able to attack but when there are important ways you can protect yourself and your organization. First, it is vital to understand the major methods cyber criminals use to accomplish the task. Along with the three attack vectors, ransomware is another most popular attack vector. Ransomware is becoming more sophisticated and more prevalent. These types of attack restrict access to a computer until a ransom is paid. If the ransom is not paid, data is destroyed, forcing organization to either pay the ransom or lose critical data forever. Most of the shipping will be facing this problem, phishing shipping that happens. Delivery of malicious code is another attack. These attacks often referred to as watering hole attacks. These attacks are characterized by hackers injecting malicious code onto a public web page known to be frequented by those in a particular industry. This type of attack is intended to infect a computer and thus gain access to a targeted network. Social engineering. This is yet another problem. Individuals are able to prey on the trustworthiness or inexperience of staff by posing as company personnel, vendors, or powerful authorities to gain information or resources that they can use to bypass organizational security. And apart from this, remote access through open ports or exploitation of web code, hackers are able to use SQL injection to gain unauthorized access to a server. Apart from the outside attack, there is a responsibility of the organization people, employees working in the organization. It is found that criminals are supported by the conscious assistance of an organization employees. It has been estimated that nearly 30% of the threat is from the internal people, that is the persons working for the organization. Phishing, as we have already touched through, is a scheme involves attempt to steal your identity or information such as username, password, and credit card details for financial gain by using a fake email disguised as one sent from a trustworthy entity to entitle you to click on a bad or file. These often come dressed as from a financial institution such as a bank. For example, if you receive a mail from a regional manager saying that your KYC complaint details are not furnished, hence your account is under suspended and you have to provide immediately your following details: username, account number, and Aadhaar card number, credit card number, debit card number, CVV number, etc. Then we tend to give the information thinking that this is the mail received from the regional manager. So that's how they collect the information through the phishing attack. Apart from this phishing attack, spoofing is another attack vector. The FBI reported that between October of 2013 and August of 2019, 750 million was extracted from more than 7,000 companies using spoofing type scams. Criminals fake correspondence from the executives of the victim companies asking employees to initiate unauthorized international wire transfers on the company's behalf. In spoofing, an email header is manipulated to look like it came from somewhere different than the source. Access to intermediaries is another type of attack vector. Retail chain Target suffered an extremely high profile breach in 2013, which led to 40 million credit and debit cards to be stolen during the holiday shopping season. The attack was implemented in part through the use of a malware that successfully gamed the electronic credentials of the target's HVAC vendor. Brute force attack is another type of attack vector. An attacker generally thinks, guesses some passwords. If password is not obtained, he starts exploring our different possibilities till he get it. This mechanism is automated in a software developed which does the job of and guessing the password and checking all possibilities of a password, and finally once it get it, it shares the password to client. So along with these problems, as a person, as a leader of the cybersecurity, we have to do something. We have to give good solution for the organization. We have to ensure that organization imposes, prepares certain policies and enforces those possibility policies. For example, a policy may be like this: every organization should have a security audits and assessments every year, and has to take certain measures as per that. That's maybe the one policy. In a security assessment, it may assess the internal external security, including firewalls, packet flow, access and authentication to your network, traffic control, and much more. It should be performed at least once in a year. It is also important to do through research on any company. You will see to perform this, you will be allowing them to access your network. So it is critical that you have vetted their credentials. Apart from this, governance is yet another important one. It is important to have procedure and processes surrounding your security, including documented rules for password, role-based access controls, rules for reporting potential security weakness, and requirements for reporting potential security weakness, and the requirements of applying security update patches and fixes. Incident response plan. Organizations often have documented disaster recovery plans without having security incident response plans. This is very unfortunate. Planning for various types of breaches or organization response based on the severity of the breach, specific rules during or following a breach, and running exercises that simulate a breach are all important ways one can prepare. When something does happen, you want to ensure that entire team is working together to mitigate risk. Education on cybersecurity is another important concept. All team members should have a proper education of the cybersecurity, and they should know that the data or information is a great asset, and vulnerability when it comes to cybersecurity. Every member of the team should be hot to spot avoid cybersecurity threats. Security education must be a cornerstone of every organization technology strategy. So, a cyber security should be a weapon for the organization to protect data and information and to do its business. So these are some of the important slides that I request you to go through it. With this, I will be concluding the class. I think this covers the module 1, cyber security attack vectors. In the next class, we may take time to discuss all the topics of the module 1, revisiting, recapturing, and solving your doubts, clarifying everything, and then we will be having the final conclusion of the module 1 of the cyber security of the MCA 4 semester elective 18 MCA 442. I thank all the participants for successfully participating in the Zoom online class, and still I request all of you to motivate your friends to improve the attendance. Thank you.